I'm Devin, and you are watching Hoops and Hops on Buffet Sports, Finals Edition.
Uh, yeah. Okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
So, what we're talking about today is the first two games of the NBA Finals. I know I said I was going to do a video after every game of the Finals, and I already broke my promise a little bit. I'm sorry. But game one, after saying that and then watching it that night, I shouldn't have made the promise because I felt like it was a guarantee that Dallas was going to lose that game. Why do I say that? Number one, they've had a much longer road in the playoffs to get to where they are. Two, Luka has lost a lot of game ones, um, and it's always ended up being fine. It's kind of a feel out game. What am I going to get? How much can I whine to the refs? And especially in this playoff run because he's been playing away majority of the time in these series. He's been playing away they've been the lower seed, I should say, not playing away. They've been the lower seed, so they haven't had home court. So I feel like I shouldn't have said I was going to react to game one because that there was no surprise for me watching the Mavs get just dismantled in game one. Game two, though, I was expecting a big response for the Mavs. And outside of a 9-minute stretch during that game, it was pretty much wire to wire Boston. And there's so many things with this. To start, I get the sense, number one, watching this series, that Boston won't repeat. I think I can say that pretty safely. Next year, the East should be healthy, like assuming the East is healthier in the playoffs. Some of these teams that kind of put some stuff together or that are young are going to be better. The Knicks are probably going to make moves in the offseason. I don't see Boston returning to the finals, maybe a conference finals, but to the finals again, I don't think so. And certainly not winning another one if they were to make it to the finals. The West is too good. There's too many teams that could um, they could arrive. I think Dallas was the best matchup for the Celtics. And it just so happened that the Timberwolves were constructed to beat the Nuggets. They took them to seven. They got the job done. And then the Mavs were just a, the Mavs were a terrible matchup for the Wolves, which makes the Wolves a better matchup for the Mavs. And they were able to pull that series out. That felt very confusing. The point is, Dallas lucked out coming out of the West. They were not the best team in the West. And I think we can all agree on that. So, what does that mean? What am I leading up to in saying all this? This has the feeling to me of KD Warriors versus LeBron, where it's just kind of like, oh, this is unfair. I had faith, and I still do have faith. I'm interested to see how game three goes. Game three will tell me a lot. If they get beaten game three, then this feels like a 5-game series. Dallas will probably grab game four at home and then go back to Boston. It'll end, unfortunately. But they could respond and they could grab game three, and then grab game four as well. And it's a series all of a sudden. It's 2-2. Obviously, that's how it goes. That's math. But you get what I mean. This game three is a turning point. Will Boston fall asleep? Um, the big difference, obviously, the level of stardom of the stars in that series, the KD Warriors and the KD Steph Warriors versus LeBron Cavs. Obviously, just star power wise, completely different caliber. Luka is not LeBron quite yet, and Tatum isn't quite KD, but I can see the trajectory being the same over their careers, where Luka is just statistically ridiculous and becomes a face of the league, while while Jason Tatum is just sort of there to hoop, like KD. He just wants to hoop. And he's not really willing to take on the role of a superstar in the league, and he doesn't necessarily show up in all the biggest moments, and he needs a co-star to get anything done. I don't know. I can see the makings of this, and maybe we see it later down the road in their careers, and we say, "Wow, remember when they played um, in 24 against each other, and this was the result. Now we get to see the rematch." Could be. I just that comes to my mind. This is like KD versus LeBron light in those finals with Golden State and the Cavs. This is the light version of it. Maybe we'll get a V2 later down the road. But sticking to the game, I think this whole thing can be summed up with one sentence. Jaylen Brown is the alpha. Jason Tatum is not playing well. He's having great all around games, and he did share the ball and make some great plays on the offensive end in terms of distributing and being a playmaker quite well in this last game, game two. He was 2 rebounds, I think it was, off of having a triple double. Yes. 1 rebound. He had 18, 12, and 9 rebounds. So 12 assists. That's awesome. That's huge. But he shot 6 for 22 and 1 for 7 from three. And I'll get into the game specifics here. But like I said, I think everything can be summed up into Jaylen Brown as the alpha here. If the Celtics do win this series, he is far and away, with no question in my mind, Finals MVP. Kristaps did not have the same kind of game he did in game one. Not to say it wasn't a good game, but it wasn't the same game. And Drew Holiday has been a factor, big factor in the series so far. We'll see how that continues to go on. But I think Jaylen Brown it's going to go to either him or Tatum if they win. And I don't see a world where you can give it to Jason. And if you do, you're robbing him. You're robbing Jaylen Brown of a fantastic series that he's played so far. So let's get into some of the game specifics now. So specifics of the game, starting obviously quarter one. The first thing I have written here is the first quarter felt like an hour. That was the longest first quarter of a basketball game, especially this playoffs, that I felt like I had watched. That felt incredibly long. It was choppy. I don't know what it was, if it was choppy, if there was long stoppages. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it felt like it lasted forever. I don't know what it was. In the first quarter, we got the sounds of the game. Jaylen was telling Jason, rise to the moment. If that doesn't scream, I'm the alpha, I'm the leader, I don't know what does. I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep pounding the table. Um, I think most of the mainstream media would agree with me in that he looks to be that guy for this really weird team. Let's see. At the end of the first quarter, I have this note. The Celtics only made 1 3 in the first quarter, and it was literally with the last, like, I don't even know, 3 seconds on the clock. Al Horford made a corner-ish three. And then they ended the quarter with that stupid Kristaps Porzingis foul. I have in here could make a difference late game. It ended up not making a difference. I thought maybe foul trouble, maybe those couple points that when you really come down to it, it's 2 or 3 points that the game comes down to. Those matter ultimately. The Mavs were terrible from the free throw line. That impacted them a lot in this game, and it didn't make a difference because KP really didn't. Maybe my memory isn't serving me, but I don't feel like he played down the stretch. In the second quarter, right at 10 minutes into the second quarter, so 2 minutes into the second quarter, Luka had 20, just ridiculous. The C's literally still had, they were 1 for 11 from three with 8 minutes still to go in the second quarter. And then Derek White hit the second one 30 seconds later, or not even 30 seconds, 10 seconds later at 7 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Which was just wild to me. I thought easily that this was just going to be, we're going to shoot them out of the gym sort of thing from the Celtics, where I didn't see them attacking the lane as much as they are. in my head, playing this series kind of in my head, I didn't see them attacking the lane as much. And it was just like, we're just going to shoot the hell out of the ball and we're going to make you offensively keep up. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, Dallas can keep up with that. But I didn't take into consideration the level of defense and switchability that the Celtics had. Coming out of halftime now, the third quarter was just, well, actually, the last thing with the second quarter, I have written here just Jason is trying to do too much. And that's the way it feels a lot of times watching him play. It feels like he watches Jaylen Brown have so much success moving the ball, attacking the rim, getting the kick out, hitting the three, doing all the things. And then Jason says, I want it. It's my turn. Give me it. Not in a whiny way, though. Not in like a, I need it. I demand it. Give me the ball. In just a way of like jealousy, sort of, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I don't, hey, I want to do it too. Like, let me do it. Um, and it doesn't look great for him. And it ends up just looking like he's trying to do too much. And then Jalen says, all right, go stand in the corner or go stand on the wing. Give me the ball and let me create something. And then Jalen drives and they actually respond. The defense actually responds. And then it's a kick out. And either it's a brick from Tatum or he moves the ball and gets another of his 12 assists. But if it just feels like he's trying to do too much. Third quarter comes, and this was one of the sloppiest quarters of finals basketball I feel like I have seen ever. And I don't know if this is because this is the first time Dallas has been here, um, and this is the second time the C's have been here. I don't know what it is, but it just felt like it felt sloppy, and it felt like it definitely both these teams are figuring it out as they play what the finals is, what this large moment in the playoffs is. And it feels rushed for the Mavs that they got this far. Not in that they like it should have been next year. The whole Timberwolves series felt rushed to me. It felt like we rushed to this moment and now we're here and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, we were not ready for this. We weren't ready for this. We weren't mentally prepared for this. We wanted to get here so bad that we weren't mentally all the way there. And it showed itself in the third quarter, I think, from both sides. Like I said, it was just so sloppy. The first note I have about it being sloppy is the first almost four and some change minutes of the first quarter or the third quarter where it was just like mind numbing to watch. The Celtics at this point were also still 5 for 29 from three. And I was like, I'm just waiting for the Kyrie run. I was waiting for the Kyrie run ever since Kyrie had the Celtics, or not the Celtics, I'm sorry, the big game against the Clippers, where he just pulled them from the depths and it looked like they were going to complete the biggest comeback in playoff history, where he went for like 25 from 8 minutes in the second to 8 minutes in the third. Like it was ridiculous. I've been waiting for one of those Kyrie runs. We had a Kyrie game in game one against the Timberwolves. And ever since then, it just kind of has seemed like he burnt himself out. Hopefully we get Kyrie in this game three and this becomes a series. But point is with this, the 5 for 29 for shooting for three for the Celtics is that this is how bad they're shooting, and they're still winning this series undoubtedly. There's no like, oh, well, if this call goes this way, and if we make this shot, the Celtics are winning this series clear and clear. There's no way to say it other than just very clearly they're winning this series. Um, End of the third, I have here Peyton Pritchard, baby. This is what I was talking about. I love it. 34 feet, some maybe more, no fucking problem. That's what I have in here. Word for word. That's all word for word. I talked about he's one of my favorite players. Maybe, and I said maybe we'll get some fun finals moments. And he'll be kind of ingrained in my brain forever. That's enough for me. That one is like that was just so cool. And I love Peyton Pritchard, and it was just he's not getting a ton of minutes in this series, but I expect him to in games 3 and 4. because I think from Joe Mazzulla's perspective, he's probably going to play Porzingis less, and we're going to get more Pritchard moments or Pritchard minutes at the end of the first, beginning of the second. Pritchard kind of has this rotation where he is the difference maker, the spark plug off the bench at the end of the first, beginning of the second, and then I want to say like mid third, if my memory is serving me correctly, where he can extend leads. The starters, both starters go out, and then he goes in, and whatever lead the Celtics have, either he holds it, he can hold it, or he can extend it. He's a guy that Joe Mazzulla really likes. I clearly really like him. And I think he's an oddly important piece to the puzzle for Boston. Um, when none of the major wings are on the floor and it's left up to the guards, you can put Derek White and Peyton Pritchard out there. You can put Drew Holiday and Peyton Pritchard out there because Derek White and Drew Holiday are so dominant on the defensive end. They can take the best guard matchup that's left on the floor once the other team starters go out and clamp them up and let Peyton Pritchard just work hard. You know, he still works hard on the defense for his size, but just let him be the offensive spark plug he needs to be. And his minutes are oddly important, and I think they're going to be more important in these games 3 and 4 because I think Joe Mazzulla is probably going to rein Kristaps back in for the slight chance that the series does get extended and they need him later on. He's also easing him back into it, right? So what do we get there? But I just wanted to touch on it. Peyton Pritchard, love that shot at the end of the third quarter. I have no notes for the fourth quarter because after the third quarter, it was no longer close. Dallas went on a run, and then and it looked like they cut it to 6, I believe, at one point, where it was like a 19-2 run, and it looked like, okay, this is going to be a game again, and we were going to get the fourth quarters that we saw in Minnesota and in the last series in the Western Conference Finals, where the Mavs just control the fourth quarter and they take it possession by possession and just grind you down. And that was not the case. Simply put, it just wasn't the case. So I don't have as much hope as I did going into the series that I was like, they're just gonna like the Mavs will get this done. I'm gonna stick with the Mavs because I got it. They were my pick. But if I were a betting man, and I am, I'd put my money on Celtics in 5 with Jaylen Brown as the finals MVP. So there it is. That's game 2 and a little bit of game 1. Overall series thoughts. We'll see what we get in game 3. I expect a big response in game 3 from Kyrie. The role players are going to play better at home for Dallas. We know this. Could this be the moment where the Celtics fall asleep? If it is, could things start to unravel? This is where Jaylen Brown, to me, his mettle will be tested, and we'll see really the leader come out if that is the case. But this is the moment where up to this point, they have fallen asleep. So we'll see what happens. But game 3, if they lose this, it's over. It's over. They might extend it to 5. Outside of that, it's done. Congratulations, Luka, for making it to your first finals, if that's the case. But it unfortunately was not good enough this year. But I have hope. I do believe that we're going to get Dallas winning both games 3 and 4 and extending this series at least to 6. So again, I'm Devin, and you're watching Hoops and Hops on Buffet Sports. This is the finals edition. If you want to see more of us, you can catch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at buffet.sports. We post every day, if not twice a day. Usually we take Thursdays off for long form, but we got a ton of content. So go out there, consume it, leave us comments because we do a comment show every Sunday. Ciao, guys. Mavs in 6.